Welcome to episode 140. Bans don't work in an open world. Afghan women find educational opportunities in Bangladesh. And so that title kind of gives away what we're going to talk about today. We've been all around Bangladesh with previous shows in Myanmar and Nepal and China and India and Thailand, Malaysia, and so forth. But we haven't been there yet. We haven't been to Afghanistan yet for a show. But today is our first chance to do so. And we have participants in this show that will enlighten us into the Asian University for Women and what it's about and the mission thereof. And Zulika and Zainab and Fatima are students in a master's program in education, and they're going to talk a bit about their progress in the program and why they're in it. But before we get to that, Ishrat, who's a teaching fellow, and Stephanie Pankey, who was a teacher in the program this past year and invited me in, are going to talk a bit about the American University for Women and the master's program and what it's all about, the history, the mission, and the possibilities for the future, and what it's done for young women in leadership roles. If you have not read Inside Higher Education, Reviving the College Dreams of Afghan Women, that appeared on January 24th, go to the blog post for this show and click and read about it, because it's interesting to see the educational opportunities that have arisen to help support those who are refugees, not only from Afghanistan, but from other countries around the world, including going to Arizona State, where Punya has a very vibrant program of accepting in refugees and getting them education. But let's hear from Stephanie and Ishrat in terms of what they see in terms of the mission and educational opportunities and their passions, their experiences, and the possibilities. Ishrat?
Hello. Good morning or good evening, everyone. So you want me to express that why the program started? With what motivation? So Asian University for Women was originally established in 2008, and then we only had the undergraduate program. The main motivation to establish this university was that because the founder, Mr. Kamal Ahmed, thought that that higher education for women, especially in South Asia region, was far behind comparatively from the other regions. So he really felt that it's really necessary that we build something that is only focused on women, and then we provide them all the opportunities to them to grow, not just to grow, but to grow in a very efficient way where we can learn and we learn to think how critically can we think, and then also become more professional and efficient, whatever field we want to pursue. And also the focus was on leadership. But we didn't have any master's program. And after that, when the Taliban invasion happened in Afghanistan, we had a lot of Afghan students who were stuck there, and then they were asking for help. So it was really necessary for us to help them, since it was our responsibility. And then Mr. Kamal Ahmed managed to evacuate more than 150 students from Afghanistan to US, and then some of them to Bangladesh. But the problem was that many of the students had already bachelor's degree. So that's how the idea of the program came into our mind. And then we decided that we need to arrange a graduate program, but definitely we have to make sure that the quality of the program is really up to the mark. And then we wanted to provide them what was most important at that time, to provide them with quality education. So that's how the program started. So it was a part of like a crisis response, because it was the most necessary thing at that moment. So we we admitted the qualified students who already had bachelor's degree to our program, which was Master of Arts in Education. And some other students, they were also admitted to the undergraduate program because they didn't have the bachelor's degree. So that's how the program, the motivation of the program was that how to respond to a very critical, urgent situation in an effective way, so that we don't only help them, but also we also wanted to make sure that they prosper, they learn, and then they gain that experience so that they can go further in their life and pursue their career. So that was the motivation of the program.
So in effect, you created a master's degree so that young people who already had an undergraduate degree had a reason and a vehicle for them to go to get out of Afghanistan at the time. So the master's program is in reaction to that, in effect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. But also it was very challenging at that moment to evacuate this amount of students from Afghanistan, and we also didn't want to compromise on the quality, and that's how we started collaborating with the institutions such as Johns Hopkins University, University of Manchester, Boston College, and Stephanie's from University of Northern Carolina. So there were lots of people who actually came ahead and they actually took the step and then helped us. So we collaborated, and then that's how we set up this hybrid mode of program where instructors are in Zoom via Zoom, and we teaching fellows, we support the teachers on the ground, and then we help the students to better understand everything. So yeah, it's a hybrid program because all of our professors and instructors are working remotely. So they're in the US and in the UK. So yeah.
Thank you. So Stephanie, can you fill in the gaps from your perspective as an instructor before we go to the students in the program? And maybe you can introduce them as well, if you like, or I could, or they could self-introduce. But can you tell us from your perspective, add a little flavor to that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I was approached by Johns Hopkins University initially in fall of 2021. And I had been teaching a summer class there, asynchronous summer class in the Dalit program for Professor Diamond, and who's the academic leader of that program at Johns Hopkins University. And after teaching that class on design thinking for that group of students, he said, well, we have this collaboration with the Asian University for Women. And they're evacuating over 100 students if they can out of Afghanistan. It wasn't clear at that point if they would be able to get out or not. And then he asked, would you be ready to teach? And that is one of those things where you just cannot say no. I mean, you cannot say no for several reasons. Like, you cannot say no as a woman. But you also, I'm 45. My parents had me late. And so they were the last generation who were actually children of war. So displacement is something that I think we can all have compassion about. I mean, even moving voluntarily to a different country is quite a stressful experience. And to be able to provide education, to be able to provide something to do with your time that is worthwhile and productive, I can totally understand how that was of utmost importance. So the first class I taught at Asian University for Women was on design thinking. We had 7 online sessions. I would get up on Saturday mornings at 4:45, start teaching at 5, and I would teach for 5 hours. That only worked because I had so much help. I really reached out to everybody in my network and said, can you help me teach this class? Can you help me teach these students? I want them to have the best possible online learning hybrid experience that is available. And I did that with a huge network of amazing international guest speakers. And I cannot thank these instructors enough for jumping in and participating. After finishing up the design thinking class, I had a conversation with Kamal, and he said, well, Stephanie, what comes after design thinking? And I said, well, actually, I would say making. So that is how that idea of making something, of creating something together collaboratively came about. And that is how in the second half of 2022, in the fall semester, we created an open textbook together. And that's the Strong Schools textbook that I have shared with all of you. Maybe we can add that to the blog post as well. That both those classes were unforgettable experiences and a really fantastic endeavor. But now I'll hand it to the students and let them tell you more about how it was from their end.
Right, and maybe they can tell us about the chapter they wrote in the book, and I will put the book in the blog post. I just received it a couple of days ago, I think. So I'm paging through it actually right now. So it's great. Actually, I'm envious of you putting that together. I've done wiki books in the past with my students, but I haven't done a press book like this. It's really nice. So Fatima, would you like to start, and then Zanab, and then Zulika?
Thank you so much. We had a great experience with like first semester we had design thinking, and then second semester we had the previous semester we had a Strong Schools, which we wrote open online ebook. That in that, like, we worked in a group collaboratively to create a book and create instructions for students and as well as the teachers. That the name of the chapter that we created is problem and project-based learning, which includes the insight of problem-based learning, project-based learning, and the strategies that the educators can use in their classroom to create problem and project-based learning environment, and how effectively these strategies can work in their classroom. In that, we had a podcast interview with one of the faculties. He's also a professor at AEW. He is the Dean of Science and Math, and he is also environmentalist, Dr. Nazim. We have interviewed him, and we had, I guess, like 3 to 5 questions from him, and we interviewed all that. He shared his experiences that he had in problem and project-based learning, and he explained how this helped his students to work in groups, and what was the outcomes. That I guess Zainab can give more insights of, because we work together in this chapter. So I just hand over to Zainab to give more insights of the problem and project-based learning chapter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Fatima Jan, to just take me the opportunity and give me the opportunity for talking. First of all, I'm very happy to see all of you here, and especially our very nice and kind professor, Ms. Stephanie. So it was a really great opportunity for us to have the first class of design thinking, and as she mentioned, that the next process was making. So we had a very, very amazing experience through making this book. So me and Fatima and one of our classmates, so we worked on the chapter of project and problem-based learning. So this was a method of student-centered learning that the base of this method was working in groups and empowering the group work, critical thinking, and how we can make the students that learn through doing. Like there is a famous quote of John Dewey that students should learn by doing. So the main objective of this chapter was also that. So we were also learning by doing. We were writing the chapter in group. We were just empowering our group works, our teamwork, our critical thinking. So it was a really great opportunity that we were reading articles about that. So I was really excited that problem and project-based learning even can start from the elementary grade. So I was comparing to my own experience. I I cannot say I have never experienced, but I rarely experienced it in my own life because still I have problem with the group working because it was not practiced for me. So when we were writing that book, so we were feeling that this is the knowledge that I'm learning myself, and I'm conveying it to the other instructors or even students. So it was really a great opportunity. So I learned by doing, and I hope that this is a great chance for other instructors or those who read our chapter to just learn by doing and make their students to work in projects, think critically, and learn by doing.
So before we go to Zulika, can I ask, are you in dormitories on the campus, or how were you accommodated when you moved from Afghanistan to Bangladesh?
We are now here in campus, in AUW's campus. So when we moved in the beginning of 2022, so actually it was a really great help from a university, because at that time just getting out of Afghanistan was completely challenging, but somehow we managed and we started. Actually, we started this program from different backgrounds. I personally studied computer science, and then I started Master of Arts in Education, and also other classmates too. So when we started this program, I personally found myself in this program. It was really, and even I think that I can continue even my PhD or other masters in educational technology. And this is how we are going through this journey.
So you're from what part of Afghanistan?
I'm originally from Wardak province of Afghanistan, but I grown up in Kabul. And I educated there and I worked there. So all my life is passed in Kabul.
And Fatima?
I'm from Ghazni province, which is just about like 7 to 9 hours far from Kabul. But I have grown up in Kabul province and I did my schooling in Kabul.
And Zulika?
Hello, everyone. It's a great honor to be among these professional people that I can really learn a lot from. And my name is Zulekha Malikzai, and I'm from Kabul, and I lived there. I've finished my school there. I've studied, I did my undergrads in public policy and administration in Kabul University. And then I worked there as a research assistant in Ministry of Finance. And then I had another job, and then the opportunity of doing jobs or being outside of the house was taken from us when the government collapsed, and we were all just banned in our houses and with no education and no opportunity to work. And then a signal, a chance of hope just came to me with a link that one of my friends sent me, because that, okay, I know that you're all in danger, that this is the help that I can give you. Do you want to apply or not? But I said that, of course, that's something that I want. And then I applied for this program. I saw the curriculum, I saw the programs, I saw the professors who were going to teach us, and I thought it's the great program that I want to be there. And this was something that I really wanted to, because I've already studied public policy, so getting a direction in education from public policy was something that I really wanted to, and that's why getting an offer and coming here got me a bit later. So I got here 2 months later after the other students, and it was a bit harder to catch up with the studies and lessons. I already missed too many classes at design thinking class, and that's why I couldn't get the grades from this class, the credits. But I had the great opportunity to study design thinking much thoroughly, much, from the basement and foundation when I did my chapter in strong schools, because I did my chapter in design thinking. I did this chapter specifically just for the students, school students, how to teach design thinking and school curriculum. And I learned a lot. And I had an interview with Miss Stephanie. I was a single author because I wanted to, I had some other purposes. So I wanted to have a single chapter for myself. But Miss Stephanie and Mrs. Strutt did their best to help me in all the processes. And here I am. And that's it.
Was it, can I ask this, was it hard for you to get out, or did they create a special plane for you to go from Afghanistan to Bangladesh?
Actually, the moment I was being offered the scholarship, my passport got expired, and I had to struggle for almost 4 months to get a passport back and to renew my passport. That's why I got much late. I came much later than other students, and till then it was hard. It was okay with the women coming alone or getting a loan from a country, but from our country, from Afghanistan. But after that, some policies are established right now that students cannot leave the country without having a male companion. So right now, I'm already working with the admissions office here at AUW, and we are doing our best to bring other students to just help the other students to get out of Afghanistan and come here to study. So there is another problem for them that they need to, AUW gives visas to their male companions so they can leave the country with their companions to another third country, and then their companion will go back to their country, and the girl and our student will come here. So it's a really tricky process, but AUW and Mr. Kamal Ahmed is doing their best to bring our students safely, and hopefully till now we haven't had any much issues, because they are doing the best strategies to pave the way for them to come easily.
I'm wondering if my colleagues have questions for you. I think
So-
Punya's unmuted. No.
Yeah,
Punya?
I can. So first of all, I mean, I don't even have words to express how amazing it is to have all of you join us today to share your stories and your experiences. And I can't even imagine how difficult these choices and decisions are for each of you at a personal level, and the costs that it definitely must have had on each of you. So thank you for your courage, for your leadership. It is so appreciated. I don't have words for it. That said, I'm just curious because I, like Stephanie or maybe Israt, you can speak to this, because I can see there will be a lot of people, Stephanie, like yourself. I can think of graduate students in our program. I can think of ways that we can expand the course offerings. And I can't, like Stephanie, you said that nobody's going to say no to something this important. So what are some ways that we can help? I mean, that's I think at the bottom line, in whichever shape or form that may be. I don't know, any thoughts that you have on that, people that we can contact? Because I can definitely say there will be a lot of opportunities that are my grad students, for instance, would love to help in some way. I would love to help in some way, right? So I just wondered what would be some way of doing that. But again, just from the bottom of my heart, thank you for everything that you do, all of you. It's very inspirational and very moving. Thank you. So I don't know, Israt, you want to go first, and then Stephanie maybe?
First of all, thank you so much for offering us help, and we really appreciate and we acknowledge that without the help of John Hopkins and other universities who really came forward and offered, some of them offered us, like some of the professors, they are also doing this voluntarily. They did it voluntarily, at least for the first semester. So we are really grateful to all of them. And now Professor Stephanie is also helping us in other way, that we need supervisors for our students because they are currently doing their thesis. So they just started working on their thesis. And one challenge that we faced is that since our university is mostly for undergrad, we don't have enough expert supervisors specifically in the education field because we don't have bachelor's of education in our undergrad. So this one challenge that we face, and I really appreciate Stephanie for helping us in this case, because many of the guest speakers, they actually came forward to become a supervisor of our students. So I think, we would highly appreciate that if you can help us in this way, that supervise our students, because they really need some expert suggestions and advice while doing their thesis. And also, we also look for courses across the universities, courses which are the most suitable for our program and most relevant that we can offer our students. So you are welcome anytime that if you want to help us with offering any courses that are relevant to the Master of Arts in Education program. And this program is it's a combination of teaching pedagogies, and also it's policy and leadership, like entrepreneurship education. So our courses are very diverse. So students can go to any stream they like. If they want to go in the policy sector, or if they want to establish their own school, or maybe they want to work as a researcher in this field, or maybe they want to become a teacher. So we kept this option open for them. So it's really a broad spectrum. So we welcome help in these cases. So yeah, we will be very much happy. Yeah.
Thank you. Stephanie?
Young? Stephanie? Yes, Stephanie.
Yes, I can wholeheartedly say that it is a fantastic experience to teach in this program. I mean, I have to say, I always learn from my students, whoever they are, wherever they are. But this cohort of students and the Asian University for Women students more broadly as a population are extremely impressive, because I have some saying that is grit, that is moral fiber, that is conviction, that is dedication towards a cause or a call to duty that you don't necessarily get if you don't have to, if you're just 18 and enrolling at UNC. That's fine too. That's good that we have other pathways and other experiences, but it is an extremely rewarding program. I think we currently still seek supervisors for a couple of students, so that would be an immediate help and an immediate need. But also the next cohort is starting or has started this January. I'll be back up in March with the next round of design thinking. We will again be reaching out for guest speakers. We will and again hopefully have like a nice international experience of really showing support for the education.
Oops, did we lose Stephanie for a second there?
I think we might have lost Stephanie for a second.
University for Women.
So
we lost you for a
there
second.
are many pathways for support, but all are
all right,
all
cool. Well,
appreciated.
first of all, I'm volunteering myself anytime. Feel free to email me. That's good. And on the side, I just sent a text message to our Dean for Global, Associate Dean for Global Engagement, Iveta Silova, who's a really good friend. And she just replied back that we will talk this week. So really, again, yeah, let's keep going. And Zhao, I think you had a question.
Well, I was really just trying to repeat what you said, Punya. I think this is an amazing effort. And Stephanie, thank you for doing this, and Israt and Zulika and all the students, for doing this. Is but also I think it actually gives me an idea about how education truly can be changed. Relying on international volunteers could run universities, run schools. We had people from Stanford, remember, they were running their coding courses, that attracts tens of thousands. We had MOOCs. I think this kind of organization can go beyond the AUW, of course. So I think this is a wonderful model. I'm just like Punya. If you need me to teach a course to supervise some students, I'll be happy to do it. Like Stephanie, you're absolutely right. Why would you not? But it also relies on the local students. I think so Israel, your students have this agency. They are actively involved online. They would like to do it, because, Stephanie, like you are teaching, you are not be able to manage them, look into their eyes, throwing chalk at them. So your students are amazing. So I would like to hear more from your students here, and Fatma, Zulika, Zainab, and what drove you? You're very clear-minded. You're not just wasting time, wasting efforts. So could you share a little bit about your motivation, your thinking, and apparently you're very dedicated and amazing students.
Okay, can I share my idea? Okay, actually, I personally get the motivation from history. When I see back the history of my country and my mother and mothers of my mother, so I think that most of the times women were the biggest victims of wars and conflicts in Afghanistan. As the history is witnessed that in the past decades of wars and conflicts in Afghanistan, women were those who were always deprived of their very basic rights. And the most important one was education. So I was always thinking that if I had an educated mother, so maybe my life was a little bit different. So although I have the best mother in my life, because she has 6 daughters and all of her daughters are now university students and graduates from university, and they are working, all of them are independent. But I was always thinking that there was a problem that she couldn't learn, but she always wanted. So this motivation just helps me to go through. I'm teaching other people, other women in Afghanistan. I am voluntarily teaching in EOL program in Asian University for Women and another program, EBA, Education Bridge for Afghanistan. Because I don't want another generation of Afghan women, not only women, Afghan people, to be illiterate or just to be stopped. So wars always have victims. So, but this is important that we have motivation. So the title of this episode is Bans Don't Work. So I strongly believe to this, that bans are not working. So in Afghanistan, I have students, they are very small, but they are well educated with technology. They are learning through technology. They are reading books. They are just trying. One of my students, she doesn't have any internet connection. She is standing in front of the door and the window, just standing and putting her mobile like this. But she is learning. She's learning just not to stop. So this is the motivation that we were always forced to stop. But anything that is forced, so the opposite of that is coming. Like if they stop us, so our motivation gets stronger to go, because this is something I can say consciously or unconsciously. I personally, when someone tells me stop and you are not for education, like you have to stay at home or you should not, you just should do the home chores. So I will definitely act oppositely, because I'm also a human being, and I'm sure every woman and every young girl in Afghanistan has the same idea.
Fatima, you want to add to that?
Yeah, thank you so much. For me, my motivation and inspiration lies within my father, because he's a school teacher and he's 63 years old, and he teaches in schools, and he initially he was teaching in different schools just to what he knows, but the knowledge that he has, he wanted to share his knowledge with other people. And he always motivated me and encouraged me to keep going, and he was the one who he has 6 daughters, and he doesn't have any son to, like, in Afghanistan. It's like the thing is that if a family has son, so they are like they have they have everything. It's like they think in that way. So my father, he has only daughters, and all he like did everything that he could make us learn, and he sent us to schools and universities. So for me, it's like whenever I think that I'm like about to give up, I think about the efforts that my dad he put on educating us and all my sisters, that all of us, like one of my sisters, she is doing PhD, and the others, they are like studying their bachelors. So for me, it's like my parents, and they always motivated me to study, because like as Zainab also said, that like war has victims, and now in Afghanistan, it's like women are like banned from studying and going to their works and all. So it's for me now, the thing that now motivates me the most is like I have also students that I am teaching them English and also digital literacy, that they are so even they can go to school, they can go to outside, even they can go to university, they are still so excited to learn new things, and they are so focused to learn it. Even they don't care that what's going on like here and there, but they just want to learn, and they don't want to stop. So that now that the thing is that motivates me to do more like volunteer works and help them to educate, to learn something that I want to share, the things that I know I want to share with them. So now it's in Afghanistan, the situation is not good, and those students, they tried their best to their families try their best to facilitate basic internet connection needs that they need to join the classes. All the classes are online, and now for this situation that we have, the online classes are the only way that we can help them to not stop, to continue, and to go towards their dreams. And they have sometimes they have connection problems, but we try to manage by providing some slides, providing some videos, that we record videos to them, that they can learn something. This is the thing that when I see their motivation towards learning and education and all, I get motivated, and I think that I have to do more and more. They think that I should try my best, and other people that who are also, they are students and they are teachers, and whoever like they are engaged in education, they should do their best to help these people. And it's when I see them that they can join any of like today I had a class, and my students, they couldn't join because of poor net connections, and I was feeling sad kind of, because like the situation they have, sometimes they don't have proper electricity, and sometimes they don't have proper internet connections, and these things are like the barriers that don't let them to learn within the other problems that they are like in Afghanistan itself. But still they text it as, and they ask their questions if they miss the classes. They motivated me to keep learning. That's like that feels amazing.
So Fatima, you're giving back, so now you're giving back as well as getting some new master's degree. Salika, would you like to add to that? And then we'll go to some additional questions.
Yes. I'll be talking a little bit short, but my motivation got from 2 points. One was from my family side, because I'm coming from a restrictive family a little bit, because my education was supposed to stop after school, but I don't know what happened, but maybe I've studied a lot more, that my family was much, thinking that if we, one time I remember my brother saying that she's studying that hard, if I'm going to stop her going to school, that would be a great, a very bad decision for me, and maybe Allah will not forgive me. And that restrictions, or as Zainab said, when you restrict someone, they will fight harder. And that's why for my family side, the only person that was always with me was my father, who wanted me to become a doctor, but I couldn't. And because my research interest, my interests were laid in administrative and leadership and policy making areas. So I came to this side. But one other barrier that came always, that always pushed me, was a social structure that we had for the females, because we always give the least amount of priority to do women when I was in my school and undergrads. So that pushed me to find a seat on the table, because I just wanted to prove something. I just wanted to prove myself, or even other girls around me, to not give up, do not stop. We need to fight. But the situation with Taliban, I never thought of something like that, okay, we have explosions, we have bad security, we have bad situation, but the government might not collapse. But when the government collapsed, it was a really different situation for us. But when I came here, right now, what motivates me is the responsibility. When I see to the girls there, all I can do is to think of ways to help them there, or just try to help them just get out of there. It is really hard, because I cannot teach a whole country. I cannot find people to teach this whole country, but we need to, of course, I'm seeing the things from a policy perspective way. So I just try my best to talk with NGOs, international organizations, these people who could just put some pressure on our government, on Taliban, on the current government, so that they could let at least the students from secondary to higher level schools to let them study. Because right now, my two nephews are banned, or just graduated from 6th grade, but they are not going to school for the next years. It means from the 7th to 12th grade, it's totally banned for more than 1.5 years. And if we just collect the 2 years of pandemic with it, post-pandemic, it's more than 3 years and nearly 4 years. If we just calculate, with 4 years is a total disaster for a country to stop teaching. Because as United Nations says, because education does not stop, and that gave me the most motivation to do something and try my best to at least help one or two that I can, help them and bring the international societies here, because we need our voice raised, we need our voice heard, and we need our international society to help us through this situation. And universities, schools, professors, as everyone is needed right now. That's why that motivates me a lot, and hope I could get some help for them.
Thank you very much.
Your stories, the three of you, give me hope, because in America and in many of these developed countries, the discussion is much less hopeful. I think the three of you in such difficult situations are doing amazing things and driven by the motivation and the learning. So I will want to require all my students to watch this episode because this is truly an inspirational story. So I want to thank you very much for giving us the hope. Early morning, it's quite 8 o'clock my time, but this is great. Thank you.
Yeah, and here at Indiana University, we've had master's program with Afghan people in the education department. And we also had Fulbright programs for school reform and restructuring. And I've been working with them. They've been in my classes over time, and they've been so optimistic that internet has gotten better in Afghanistan over time. And so these things, the opportunities, some open education opportunities are there today that weren't there 15 years ago, or let alone 5, 6 years ago. Chris wants to jump in here. Chris?
So thank you for coming. Your individual stories, both as students and as teachers, are very inspiring. I'd like to ask about the organizational level, and I know that this is an Asian university that enrolls women from across the region, a very rich array of countries. And I'd like to ask, what are you gaining by being in a place with students from many countries, as opposed to a lot of universities that are really national universities? They might have a few students from other places, but largely they're within countries. I'm curious as to what kinds of insights or value or alliances you're finding as you interact with women from across the region.
I think this one's for you, Ishrat.
Okay, so I can actually speak about it because I'm also an alumni of AUW. So I completed my bachelor's from Asian University for Women in Economics. So I can say that my life and my perspective of thinking totally transformed after I got into AUW. So it really shaped my personality and the way I think and the way I see the world. So I would say it was an amazing experience for me because in my time we had students from 16 different countries. Currently, I think we have students from 19 different countries. And what was amazing was that the classes are very interactive at our university, so we had to share our experiences, and I could see that how different perspective can be from different community, and it also helped me to become more empathetic because and it actually changed my mind in the sense that now I can analyze things from a broader perspective. Before I got into AUW, I have no shame in saying that it was very narrow and I could only think from a very local perspective. But after getting into AUW, I could really think from a broader perspective and could really think very critically, analyze things very critically. And I became a lot more empathetic because I could understand that and I became more adaptive. And because and we celebrate Nowruz, which is Afghan's New Year. We celebrate Lunar New Year, and we have these celebrations from different countries. So I got to learn a lot of things and a very beautiful cultural exchange that happens in AUW. And one thing also I learned is that in South Asia, which is I grew up in a very patriarchal society. So after getting into AUW, when I was working in clubs and organizing events, and one thing I could understand, which I understood, was that it was an all-female club, and we successfully organized event. So I felt very empowered that we don't actually need any support, which I was told all of the time. Like I was told all my life that, okay, maybe you need a man to do this. But then we don't need, because I felt empowered more than ever after I got into AUW. And I think really we really learned how to think critically, and the professional development part was also very important because we also learned karate. So they also taught us how to defend ourselves when we are really in that situation. So I would say really it transformed my life. And I had 4 years. So our students only had nearly 2 years, but I would really like to hear from themselves as well, because they're staying at the dormitory and they are exchanging dialogues with the students. So I would also like to hear from them as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Would anyone of the three in the program like to talk about their perspective in meeting students from around the world? Yeah.
May I
So
start?
yeah.
Yeah. You know, the 2 points that Mrs. Rudd said was really to the point. I love these 2 things about AW a lot. One is the whole community of women, because we see around us they're all women, they're all girls who are like, they're really beautiful. When you see lots of colors in AUW, every other day we have a program. Everyone wears their different clothes, costumes, and there's a huge respect for each culture and each diverse cultures and thinkings, and that's why I value these things a lot for the AUW. And whenever I talk to a person and hear from a country that I even didn't know their name before, that gives me a huge sense of how much I've been, as Mrs. Rudd said, in a very narrow place, a narrow environment, and thanks to AUW that they could introduce us, they could bring us to a community of girls who are empowered within. They can do whatever they want. They are much. When you see the big ceremonies here, and you would think that a girl has organized them, then that's where we see how strong are they, how passionate are they about their the girls. No one is ashamed of their cultures here, because everyone respect their culture. Everyone brings something here and shares with others, and that's something I really adore about AUW.
One more, and then I have a couple questions for you. And we were starting to run low on time. So would one more of you like to address the question from Chris?
Yes, I actually like the thing that Zulekha and Nusrat also said, that diversity is something I was experiencing, I can say newly in AUW. Since, although I was working with international organizations, so we had some colleagues from different countries there, but somehow it was a work, it was formally. But when I came to AUW, so the diversity here, I was living with people from different countries, from different cultures and nations. So I was thinking that I'm sharing home with them. So here, every diversity and every culture is being respected very greatly. So it was really great for me that no one is just looking just differently to me because I'm wearing my national clothes or anyone else. So here, not only the environment of all women are helping each other, and most of the faculties are also women. So women empowerment is the thing that I like about the AUW, and also the culture and diversity here are really the points that I really like about the AUW.
So I'm curious, if you didn't have AUW opportunities, what were your other options? Or what, say it another way, for your brothers or sisters who are back in Afghanistan, for your friends, your neighbors who are back in Afghanistan, what are their options? Because in reading this Reviving the College Dreams of Afghan Women article in Inside Higher Ed, they talk about Arizona State, where Punya is. They talk about the University of the People, which is a free, open, online university. So what are people using open courseware from MIT, or what are people you're hearing using and getting access to education? And in what way, if they're not getting into the Asian University for Women, what do they have?
For me, I know few people that they are enrolled in University of People. They are studying. They just recently started their bachelor's there online, and also I know some people that they are like I'm teaching in education bridge for Afghanistan. That's like people from 9th grade to 12th grade. They are students, and they're not going cannot go to school, so they're just joining, and that EBA. provides education for these people, and they are providing like they follow the Afghanistan's national curriculum. And there are some other, like there are some of people that I know, they are enrolled in Coursera. They use these MOOCs that they provide free education, or the free education to them. They are enrolling on those courses. And for me, if I was in Afghanistan, I don't know, I can't imagine myself there now, because the time that I returned from India and then I was working there, I just started my work, and then these things happened, and I couldn't go to work anymore. And then I got opportunity to continue my education, even though education, MA in education is like a bit different from the thing that I have studied in my bachelor's. I studied civil engineering, and now I'm studying MA education. So it was a bit challenging for me to connect these two. Then I thought of integrating both education and civil engineering in terms of doing some kind of research, or doing designing curriculum for civil department, maybe in future for Afghanistan people when we have the peace and the normal life. So then I don't know if I was there, I could do anything, but I'm really grateful that I'm now here, and I can do, maybe I can go straight to civil engineering, but I have opportunities to integrate both and make use of the knowledge that I'm gaining here.
Yeah, thank you. So does anyone else have other things that they've heard that people are accessing education in other ways?
Yes. Besides the online educations, or those of us who are here in AUW, I think that we can categorize people of Afghanistan now in two parts, so women and men. So most of the men just are now thinking more about the immigrating or getting out of the country, which is also very challenging. So I was lucky that my family could support me to send me here, and they allowed me to come here. But there are many people who even do not have passports to just get out of the country, or most importantly, the school students. There is no school offering scholarships for the school students. So those who graduated from school, they have opportunity to come out of this Afghanistan. But those who are in school level, so not only they are engaged in online courses, I know some of them that they are studying in underground schools. So there are schools that are just one room in a house, one teacher, or maybe one of them is my sister. She is a teacher in one of public schools, but she was telling that I saw my students who are graduated from 6th grade, as I also mentioned, that they are crying that next year we cannot study. So she thought that I can just open a class, a very small class in my room, so that even just they can come and they will be motivated if they cannot get the formal education. So of course they cannot get the formal education that is compared to the schools. But I know that some of them are still just taking the risks, because it's also risky to just collect around 20 to 30 students in a house just to give them education. But I see that those girls who are very enthusiastic to their learning, they are also getting educations in underground schools, which are running also by women.
We just have a minute left, and I printed out the LinkedIn post from Zulika. And if I read this, there's two sentences and then it stops. I'm curious if Zulika could help finish the sentence. No country in the world should bar women and girls from receiving an education. Education is a universal right that must be respected. The international community has the responsibility to ensure, and that's where the sentence ends. And I don't know what comes after that, okay? I didn't print the whole thing out. What did the rest of that sentence say? The educational community has the responsibility to ensure what? You could answer, or any of it you could answer. What does the international community have a responsibility to do for all of you?
I think we are right now in a situation that even girls are trying something to get education for this, do something like an undergrad, a private school, underground school, or either they do anything, but that would be not enough, because we do have a massive amount of students in each corner of our country, sitting in their rooms, sitting in their houses, while they had to go to school and teach and learn something. That's why for me, it's really important that international organizations stand beside us, and when they're talking about SDGs, MDGs, and education for all, quality education for all, at least we need that support to international organizations put their step step up in this situation and give us a supporting hand, because even if they cannot ensure that that level of higher education for us, for now we need that schools running. We need that schools to start, because we don't have any much restrictions, even from the Taliban don't have that much reasons to say why they're restricting schools right now, because our schools were gender separated, like girls were separated and boys were separated. We did have formal uniform that had a scarf and had a proper coverage on the for girls, and we didn't have much barriers to their education. But I really don't know the intention of banning the schools from a 12th year student, for a 12th year girl. So that's why I just want the international organizations, mostly the governments who are in our religion, who are the Muslim countries, because if students are going to school in those countries, at least they can give that support, to give that idea to the Taliban or the Taliban government that okay, we also have girls, we also have women here who are studying, and we are not banning them from education. So what is your reasons to do it? So even if you talk that we need a permanent solution, not a short-term solution.
Yeah,
that even if we have online classes, if we have any support which is online, but that wouldn't be formal education. Universities, schools from other countries wouldn't respect them, wouldn't accept them as formal educated people. So we are literally going to be illiterate for the next 5 to 10 or 12 years, which is a disaster again, because I want that support. I want that solution, permanent solution from international organizations, those organizations that are helping other countries, and we want our spare as well. So I just want them to hear us as well.
Yeah, well, thanks for the blog post and explaining the LinkedIn post. And you can catch her on LinkedIn, friend Sulika in LinkedIn. And I want to thank all of you for coming on the show. Do you have, Stephanie or Ishrat, you have 10 seconds, you want to say any final thought real quick? It's got to be really quick because we're running out of time here. So
I really want to thank everyone, especially you, for arranging this session, because I think, as Zulika said, what we really need right now is to let the world hear their voices. And we are looking for international outreach, and we're looking for platforms so that we want to help the students in a true sense and empower them in the true sense. We want to educate them, and we want them fly and conquer the world. So we really need that platform, and I think this was an amazing platform and opportunity for them to share their story. And I'm really thankful to you and everyone who was present here.
And we're thankful to all of you. It's been a great show. Stephanie, you get the last word here.
Yeah, I want to join in saying thank you Thank you to the students. Thank you to the teaching assistants who made the teaching and learning possible. With neither the design thinking nor an open pedagogy course could have possibly worked. Being just, disembodied on Zoom in the same way, with the same engagement, without really talented teaching fellows, but also without really dedicated students. So, and higher education is a lot of work and it's really stressful. Students work extremely hard in these classes on top of everything else they had going on. I just cannot stress that enough, like the quality of student learning and student contributions at this university. The other piece is problems like Afghan women's education in Afghanistan, girls banned from school, seem insurmountable. They seem breathtakingly harsh, horrid, complicated. Doing something, doing little things, taking this one student, taking this one group of students, pushing that rock up the hill, keep the conversation going, and keep trying to work as best as we possibly can to amplify students' voices, to keep the conversation going, to keep the channels open to Afghanistan, and try to work towards change in any way that we can, is having practical contributions like supervising students who are writing their master's thesis, like thinking about workshop offerings, course offerings, things that you can make time for and find time for. And podcasts like this will really make a difference.
Thank you, Stephanie, and thank everyone for this show. It's been wonderful having you all here. I would look forward to having you again in 2 years and hearing what you're going to come up to. That was my final question for all of you, but send me a note about your future careers. Our next show, episode 141, will be a host reflection next Saturday, the normal time, 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see all of you there. Well, we'll talk about this show.